candlestick tonight and the showbread, a table of showbread. So let's begin with the candlestick. The golden candlestick had 7 golden lamps. It was placed on the south side of the first apartment of the sanctuary. It was made of gold beaten into shape by the workman hammer. Hear me, somebody. To build this candlestick, it took many a hard and skillful blow to form those.
To make their way and ask somebody to take those mics for them. So we need 4 mics. All right. This afternoon, we want to find what the difference is between the word daddy and the word father. Most people familiar with the terms daddy and father have frequently heard the quote, "A man can become a father, but it takes someone special to be a daddy." Am I right, church? Any man can be a father, but somebody special, you call them daddy. This particular quote, along with several other quotes, statements, and even jokes, tell us that many people feel that there's a big difference between the definition of a father and a daddy, or in American terms, a dad. It seems that to most people, the word father is more negative, while the word daddy gives a more warm and loving feeling. Furthermore, you don't find the word daddy on a birth certificate. What do you find? Father. Application forms. You find the word father. And even when you watch older shows or shows that are set in older times, you hear the children say father as opposed to dad or daddy, more modern, right? This evening, we want to hear from persons who have experienced having a father or being a father, and they want to break down the difference between what it is to be a father and a daddy. Now, we have 4 persons here who I want to say from 4 different walks of life regarding when it comes down to speaking about father or daddy. Now, I just want everybody to know that, I couldn't call on everybody because to me, there's a spectrum when it comes down to being a father. Right, and we will speak about that as the program progresses. So this afternoon, I want to introduce Brother Fitzroy Williams, and he will be speaking from the angle where he had a father in church, and he's now a father in church. Want to talk to Sister Vanessa Russell. She's going to talk from the angle where she grew up with a single father. From Sister Jolene Barrett, from the angle of growing up with a stepfather. And of course, I want to call her my resident psychologist, Sister Stacy Ann Whittingham. She is employed with the Ministry of Justice as a psychologist and an adjunct lecturer of social work and social work courses at the Northern Caribbean University. So again, welcome everybody, and thank you all. You all have your mics? Now I'm going to ask everybody, if you have your points, please to make your points known, or I'll give you a chance to make your point as the program progresses. Now, I'm going to start with Fitzroy. But before I start with Fitzroy, last evening, Sister Natalie put a survey in the church chat regarding some questions about, how it was for you to have a father, or if your father had passed, when you had a father, how was it? Really, I wanted to ask the entire church, but it would have probably been a very sensitive topic, so I decided to do it in Google Forms. Some of you answered, and I will share the results of all of those questions later on the program. All right, so I'm going to start with Fitzroy. Fitzroy, let me ask you a question and you answer, because I know that you have a lot to say regarding your father and even being a father. We'll talk about that later on. But how was it growing up in a home with a Christian father?
All right, good evening, everyone. All right. Some of you might not know my father was a member here. Well, both parents. I grew up with both mommy and daddy in the home. I am the second of three boys. And daddy was one of those father who every morning devotion, no care what. And he would make sure that we are up, even though we want to sleep, but we have to be there. We have to be there in the living room for devotion. Daddy was, for me, one of those fathers who I could call on for some things. I'm not going to say for everything, but he was one of those fathers who I could call on. And I'll just stop it there for now.
All right. Now, for those who are just joining in, even on YouTube, and for the congregation members, this afternoon I want to remind you that the theme is a father is not a daddy. Let me just let it just mull on that for a minute. A father is not a daddy. All right? Now, I wanted also to find out as we move to Fitzroy again, you again. Okay, let me move now to Vanessa. All right? So you are speaking to us because you're a single father. Explain the situation to us. How did you get into the realm of being a single or living with a single father?
All right. I know that maybe many persons are confused. How is it that, I'm here representing a person who has grown up with a single father? So let me give you the background so you can understand what my life situation was. So I basically shared half and half of my life with my parents. So my earlier part of my years up to primary school, first part of high school, I live with my mommy, and then the latter half, I live with my father, right? So because my parents weren't together, for the latter half of my life, I was living with my father, who was single. This does not mean that my mother wasn't there. So I don't want to give the perception that my mother wasn't there. My mother was very, very much in my life. I got to see her every single week, right? And it's just that I was actually living with my father. So that is my situation. So let's go back to the question, as in just present my situation.
Right. That
Right.
was
So
it.
basically, that was my situation. So I still had a relationship with my mother, and still do, because this is where my mother goes. Everybody knows my mother, right? It's just that I lived half my life with my mother, half the other half with my father. But
Right.
I still got to see both.
All right. And Jelaine, how did your situation come about having to have a stepfather?
All right, so my mom got married to my stepfather when I was 5 years old. And so this is the person, when Jamaica know that, so when you start to have sense, this is the person who I knew in the home as a father figure.
All right. Now everybody understands now where I'm going. So again, Fitzroy had a father and a mother. Vanessa had her father and mother, but lived half of her life with her mother and half with her father. So she can still speak to the fact that she grew up with her father alone. And Jelaine, you had a stepfather who was a man who was married to your mother. All right. Sister Stacy, I want to come to you right now. After hearing these three responses, in your professional give me a professional definition of what a father is versus what a daddy is, so we can move along.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. No, your theme is saying a
Father is not a daddy.
dad,
Yeah,
right? Which is so, because a father is one who is physiologically responsible for ensuring that the egg and the sperm and the egg comes together. So that is the person that is the father, the sperm donor, right? But when it comes on to being a dad provides all forms of support: emotional, spiritual, physical, or everything. And you mentioned that you could go to your father about some things, but not everything, and you stopped right there. So a father is involved holistically in a child's life. Should be. Sorry, a dad. I'm sorry, I said father, dad, it's kind of interchangeable. No, in terms of the effects of having a dad as opposed to a father, there are many. If we should go and look at research, it has been found that children that underperform or who are involved in crime or have they're dropouts, or the varied different challenges are often persons that do not have a dad around.
All right, let's stop right there because I want them to talk first, and then I get back to you.
So that's the difference, so to speak. So a father is the sperm donor,
right,
and a dad gives all forms of support,
right,
and I listed those. So we can go back to the panelists for them to give some more flesh.
All right, I just want everybody to know that there are many dynamics, again, to being a father. It's not black and white. There are many gray areas. And again, we just use these three persons just to highlight for the major points. But you have fathers who are present both physically and emotionally. You have fathers who are present physically but not emotionally. You have fathers who are absent physically but present emotionally and financially. And we have fathers who are absent everywhere, financially, physically, and emotionally. And the list goes on and on and on and on and on. Right? Let me go back to Jolene. I really am interested in the stepfather thing. Did your stepfather have other children, and how was his relationship with them, and how was it with you, especially when you had them? Explain that dynamic to us, please.
Well, I heard you said something a while ago, and it just hit me. That there are some fathers who are absent physically, emotionally, financially. My father was all of those. Just never present. I remember...
As in a biological father? Your real father?
Yeah, man, my real
Your real father,
okay. Yeah. And, but... this is on YouTube, right? Because we probably... But you know what? I'm just going to talk. When I was going to Barracks Road... I think when I was in grade 5, he bought me a yellow bag to go to school. And that was, I don't remember getting anything else from him. I didn't even get composition books or pencil and eraser and sharpener with it, just a bag. And I remember, and I went to Harrison, where my mother had to pay school fee, nothing. Then I went to NCU, where the school fee for NCU, nothing. So he was not present at all overall. But my stepfather, I remember when he died and I was doing the eulogy, and I said, because of the fact that we share the same complexion, most people in Quarry and other places, because Fitzroy, we grew up together in Quarry. When I said in the eulogy that a lot of persons thought that I was his daughter, you could hear the gasp in the church because people were hearing for the first time at that time that I was not his daughter. I mean, he had 2 other sons before marriage to my mother. And yeah, excellent relationship growing up, but the affection that I got from him, I can't tell you, Karim, that I was missing a father figure in my life. He was there. When I was at NCU and my mother would say, come, we're going to Mandeville to bring up grocery. Him just want to know when, where, what time. The little piece of ladder, they go up Spur Tree, they come. Yes. So the support was there. So I don't miss what I did not get from my biological father.
Let me ask this question though, because I want to go to Vanessa next. But you touched on, you felt a love. He is a Jamaican man. And Stacey will soon talk about being a Jamaican man and a father. How did you feel the emotions from him? Was he affectionate in public or just could tell?
Yeah, I mean, men back then, Jamaican men now are just learning to show emotion. So of course I did not grow up with a stepfather who showed emotion, but just when he looked at me, I could see the love in his eyes and just everything that he would do for me. I didn't have to question whether or not Lambert Gaynor did love me.
Yes.
I mean, this is somebody that not even so. He was married to my mother from I was 5 years old. I mean, never get beaten. People that say nothing one mosquito and no kill for me, so. Me mean nothing. He would be the one shielding me from my mother when we do something to get beaten.
Okay.
You know, that kind of real love.
Yes. All right, at least with Julian, your stepfather was married to your mother. Vanessa, a single father to a daughter. How was that emotion there? How? Explain that.
Well, I would have to just say the same as what Julian just said. I think generally how we're cultured, socialized, men in Jamaica. My father wasn't a touchy-feely type of person. I can't even tell you that my father hugged me a lot, but I knew that my father loved me. Listen, this is a man who, when I was living with my mother for the first half of my life, my father would come up there every single day except on Saturday when we go to church. He would come there every single day. When he comes in the evening, we would sing songs, we would take a walk, we would come back. Any little game, he would tell me some long story. Even now, my father is like the same, he's the same person. When my kids, his grandkids I should say, when my kids are around, he comes, he's treating the same way as how he treated me. And so I can say he wasn't touchy-feely, he wasn't, huggy. I think it's probably just now my father started hugging me, and my daughter and my son get more hugs from my father than I would. I mean, it's not that type of. We didn't grow this way. I don't know if most people in the audience, if that is how people my age and older, if that is how you feel about it. But there was no doubt. There was never a time that I didn't feel that my father loved me, even though it wasn't touchy-feely like that.
Fitzgerald, let me ask you, was Brother Williams present for all his sons' important events, graduation? If yes, how was that feeling? If no, how was that feeling?
All right, for me, well, graduation, yes, that would be there. But like PTA meeting, never. Never. I have never seen, because I went to farm college at the time, it was farm college, and I've never seen Daddy come to school. One day, I went to Herbert Morrison, and I've never seen him. Well, one time he came to school when I was in 8th grade. I did something, and Mommy wasn't here, so it was Daddy had to come to school. Because Mr. Winstanley wanted to suspend me for 3 days. And I went home and I told Daddy, and Daddy said, no, so you had to come to school. But otherwise, Daddy was not one of those persons, as Julian and Vanessa would say, who would hug, and he's not that type of person.
Julian and Vanessa, anyone who wants to answer first? Why was being present for important events important for your father to be there or your stepfather to be there? How important was it?
For me, Karim, it was very important because I can't sit here and imagine now not having my stepfather at my graduation from NCU. I can't even imagine him not being there. And when you talk about special events, it was so important to me that even though my father was still alive when I was getting married, my stepfather walked me down the aisle. Yeah.
That says a lot.
Yep.
Vanessa?
You know, they normally said, wanty, can't get it. In my case, not that I didn't want it, but it was just so automatic. It would be just weird for my father not to be there. I mean, it's automatic. I mean, if anything that was happening in my life, I know that my parents were going to be there and extended family. It was automatic. So it never really occurred to me that, oh, is there a situation that they would not be there? Like, I didn't wonder or worry. You know, sometimes, because I've seen a situation where there was a graduation ceremony with somebody who I knew, and the person was just waiting to see, is he going to come? Is he? And that was the father. That was never, I never even thought that my father could be absent. And if he was, something must happen. You understand? Because there was nothing, absolutely nothing in the world that would prevent my father from coming to whatever event. So I guess now that I'm older, at the time I wasn't really thinking about it, but now that I'm older and I realized that a lot of persons didn't get what I got, you know, I said to myself, oh wow, you know that all of these things that happen in my life, the support that I got from my father has shaped who I am. And I think it's just being older, being an adult now, I'm appreciating that my father was really there for me. But being younger, it was just automatic.
Yes. Stacey, let me come to you now. Why are there, and as professional as you can in your answer, and as best as you can in your answer, why are there so many emotionally unattached men in the Jamaican society? Why?
Okay, so in terms of our culture, men are not socialized to be in tune with their emotions. So,
Culture as in Jamaican culture or black man
in
culture?
terms of the Negroid race, if you go back to slavery, it was persons going around and basically fertilizing, just, you know, getting persons pregnant, no attachment.
Yes.
And then growing up, persons may not know who their real father is, they just know that I'm here. In our culture, present day, oftentimes men are told that they have to be strong, don't cry. I mean, if you show your emotions, it's a sign of weakness. So when you have your children, it's very difficult to show these emotions. I love you. You know your father loves you, but in terms of to say, hug you and kiss you, some persons may not do that. I can remember growing up, I would say at a point that I'm old enough now, I don't want to do that in public. Not everybody has that experience. You know that your father loves you, but he's not going to say it, or he's not going to, he's there for you. So because of culture, it depends, because everybody here in this room will have a different experience. If you ask all three different experiences, so how you were socialized, what was the norm for you would determine why the attachment is as we have been hearing. So if you grew up in a family where it was that emotions were not highly displayed, it will continue. However, you can make the link and say, I didn't get much of this as a man, a father, you can change it. And that's where people have been changing. I think I want to move to something else, but I think you want to, stop
Go ahead,
me.
go ahead.
All right, so basically, it's because of culture. And I want to share a situation with you. I was seeing someone recently, and research has shown, so I know it is empirical and it happens really. It is not just research saying, so I've seen it. When persons don't have the attachment, the emotional attachment with their fathers, what happens is that there is feelings of abandonment, and it can affect their emotions deeply, where they are detached, they have anxiety, they have depression, and some of them even get suicidal because they feel as if they have been abandoned or rejected. So even though, and then some fathers are there physically, but as you mentioned in terms of the various dynamics, they're not there emotionally. You make the money, you send them to school, but you're not connecting with your child. And that is very important, the connection. Can I go and talk with my dad? You mentioned, I'm having bad memory here, Sir Fitzroy, that your father came and spoke to the principal, in the situation. Some persons would not go to their father and they say, I'm at a threat of getting suspended for a couple of days. How dare you even go to daddy? You can't talk to daddy. So the emotional connection is important. And even though they may not hug, you know you're loved. So once you know you're loved, the act of knowing is different from not actually getting it. Because some persons don't actually say it, but you know. Because they'll say, I didn't grow up and get these hugs and stuff, but I love you. You know I love you. So you don't have to say it. Exhibit it, but you say it. So you know you're loved.
Um, why is it then, if a church is a place of spiritual education and we are supposed to be an entity that is different from the world, why is it then that you find unattached fathers, in the emotionally attached fathers in the church even?
I would say that almost everything that is out there is in here in terms of emotions, personalities, and some persons, even though they are told, they are taught, they do not listen. So if you are teachers, you go to the classroom, you teach your students, how many of them actually follow the instructions to the T? Persons deviate and do what they want to do. So you know what is supposed to be done, but you feel you know it all. Some persons may feel they don't take instructions or they don't see that what they're doing is not working as it should because you lack insight. And that's one of the things that is very key when working with persons. For change to take place, you need to have insight. So if, as in knowledge of the fact that what you're doing is having an impact and you need to change it so that it can improve. So if you're not having that connection with your child or your, small ones, children, whoever the case may be, what am I doing that could be improved? Reflection is necessary. Some persons do not reflect. They don't have that, they don't recognize that, hey, possibly I may be doing something wrong. Or possibly I could do something a little different. Because it may not be wrong, but the approach, you have 3 children or 2, you can't use the same approach with each child.
Yes.
Some persons have strong personalities, some persons are, pleasing. So if you say to them, go and fetch this for me and carry it come, they will do that without question. Others will say, why do I need to do that? Why can't you do that? Don't your feet work? As children.
Yes.
And when they say that to you, you're going to buff them because you're rude. So we have to be cognizant that we have to try and see how best we can understand our children, understand their personalities, and see how best we can continue to improve our parenting skills as fathers and as everybody alike, because no one is perfect. So if you think you're perfect, then that's going to be a challenge because you're not open to change.
All right.
Yes.
All right, so we come to the end of the first of 2 segments. We have gotten to know some more about our 3 panelists, and of course, we've gotten advice from our resident psychologist. In the second segment, after we take a song from Sister Karen Bernard, we want to also hear from the congregation members. There's a mic right there. If you want to come up and speak, about your relationship with your father, how it was with your father, how it is being a father, and ask questions to any one of our panelists, feel free when I indicate to you as well. Also, for those who are on YouTube, if you check the link, if you check the chat, there's a link. The link is still there for the Google Forms for you to answer the questions, and I will be giving the results at the end of the program. So after I will have finished speaking, we're going to take a song from Sister Karen Bernard.
Be every mother's dream for her little girl, and my face may not grace the mind of everyone in the world, but that's alright as long as I can have one wish. I pray when people look inside my life, I wanna hear them say, she's got her father's eyes, her father's eyes, eyes that find the good in things when good is not around, eyes that find the source of help when help just can't be found, eyes full of compassion, seeing everything, knowing what you're going through and feeling it the same. just like my father's eyes, my father's eyes, my father's eyes, just like my father's eyes. And on that day when we will pay for all the deeds we have done, good and bad, they'll all be had to see by everyone. And when we're called to stand and tell just what they saw in me, more than anything I want the words to be, she's got her father's eyes, her father's eyes, eyes full of compassion, seeing everything and knowing what you're going through and feeling it the same. Eyes full of compassion, seeing every pain and knowing what you're going through and feeling it the same. Just like my father's eyes, my father's eyes, my father's eyes, just like my father's eyes, my father's eyes, my father's eyes, just like my father's eyes, just like my father's eyes.
Amen. Just like my father's eyes. How many of you in here can see that you have your father's eyes? Raise your hands. Have your father's eyes? Yes. All right. All right. So, again, the topic for this afternoon's program is "A Father is Not a Daddy." And before Sister Bernard sang, we were speaking to Sister Barrett, who grew up with her stepfather, Sister Russell, who grew up with her father, and Brother Williams, who grew up with his father as well, but a single father versus being part of a mother-father dynamic. Fishoy, tell me something. Now that you're a father yourself, when you're parenting your children, what are some things you took from your father? What are some things you don't take from your father? Especially because you are now parenting in the 2020s. You were a teenager in the 1990s. Right. So 1990s, you have 1990, 2000, 2010s, now 2020, 30 years difference. What are some things you like that the father did that you're doing with your boys? What are things that you don't like that he would never do to your boys?
All right. Honestly, my daddy was a different type of daddy, trust me.
Tell us, for those
some of you might know. All right. My daddy is not a daddy who would cook. Cook. He would never wash. Never. I remember the last time daddy cooked. It was 1986 when both of them was going overseas. I remember very well. And growing up and seeing mommy cooking, washing, cleaning, I said to myself, I'm not treating no woman, so. I always tell myself that. And I make it a point of my duty where I would learn to cook, I learn to wash, and do everything. And I grow my boys certain way. Tashway 1, Tation 2, I teach them to wash. Back then, we didn't have washing machine popular. But now we have washing machine, and still have wash your hand.
Yeah.
Tation cannot put his uniform in the machine to wash it. The church clothes are no for machine for me. It's just like regular clothes which are in machine. But anything else, you have to wash it in your hands. I tell them that.
May I ask one question before I continue? Your father used to beat you?
Yes.
You beat them?
Well, before I go any further, Mommy would never beat us. But Daddy, let me tell you how Daddy beat we. If we do something today, he might not catch you if he beat we. So we do something next week, we'll get 2 beaten and 1. Yeah. All right, let me tell you how I beat my boys. They'll do things which they know they're not supposed to do. Yeah. They do things which they know they're not supposed to do. And if I talk to them about it and they continue doing it, I'll beat them.
Okay, so your difference is you talk more than your father used to talk.
But, well, yes, somehow.
Okay.
Somehow. But if you ask any of them, if Daddy or Mommy beat them the most, they will answer you.
Okay. Okay.
Daddy?
No.
Okay. Mommy beat you more? Okay. Wow, that is an eye-opener. Between the time I told the members of those who are watching on YouTube about the link, 10 persons have answered. So feel free to still answer the questions I have put on Google Forms. We still have some time before I share the results. Let me ask Vanessa.
Karim, before you go on,
Go ahead.
you know, from Fitzroy's experience, because you always hear that we parent how we were parented.
Right.
Because you can't give what you never get.
Right.
But Fitzroy, I mean, and it just goes to show that that's not true.
Yeah?
You know, you know, your father never show your mother any love, and you come and you show your wife love. We can learn.
Yeah, you can change, right.
And do things differently. So nothing no go so.
Yeah.
So you adjust that you ain't can't see. So you just give you that's why you know. And you can't give what you ain't get. We can learn.
You're
and
very
change.
right. You're very right, because I never grew up with a father. But here I am, I'm a father. So you are correct. I felt it, you weren't finished. Continue.
Right. All right. For me, Daddy was not one of those daddies who would take you to a football match, that would take you downtown or anything like that. And if I'm not lying, I remember it's only one PTA meeting I ever miss with my boys. And I always try to go to sport event, anything they're involved in. I remember one day I took, when Tashwe was going to Irwin, and he entered the JCD festival, and he was playing the saxophone at the time. And I think he got the lyrics of the song like late, so he didn't catch it good. So he didn't make it through, and he cried. And I was there up by the church where the audition, and I said, son, come. And I rubbed his head and I said, next time, next year, it will be better. He said, all you need to do is practice. And I'll take them on beach trips and just family outing, just to get the bond with them, because I don't want, if needs be, someone out there trying to play the father figure, and I am here, because I always tell myself, once I have life, no man should grow my child or my children.
I'm sorry, I'm tempted. I can't help myself. Yeah. So, based on what you're saying, I'm thinking about your father, and I'm also thinking about your grandfather. Or you don't know him, so your father didn't know him either.
No.
Okay, because I'm trying to fathom what is responsible for how your father fathered you. And I'm recognizing that there's a gap. Because possibly he didn't know how to father, which is why he didn't give to you. But given what you experienced, you ensure that you improve the gap. So what you didn't get from him, you're giving more. So you've compensated or overcompensated to ensure that your kids have much better than what you went through. And then, I'm sorry, Karim, Sister Barrett, there is a saying that we can't give what we don't get. But I was also thinking sometimes we do get, but we don't give it. Some persons get love from both parents and they just don't give it to their children for whatever reason. So it can go both ways. So sometimes you get it well, spoiled even, but you don't give it back. You don't reciprocate what you would have received. So it can go, it depends on the situation, because I think sometimes it's just that you're spoiled. You don't appreciate what you have. And then because you are so into yourself sometimes, I remember pride was being discussed down there. You don't recognize that even though you got this, you need to give it back. Cain and Abel, they both got the same treatment. But Cain was so into himself that he thought he should have been the one to get the gift that God was giving. And because Abel got it, he took his brother's life. So it just goes to show different personalities, different outlooks on life, different results. So yes, I had to dig in a little bit because hearing the story, I recognized there was a missing piece. And so I'm hoping that I was going to ask you also, what are some of the things that you admired about your dad, if any at all, that has helped you even know as a father? That's what I would like to hear from you.
All right. Daddy was one of those daddy who you would always make sure that all three of us go to school. I care what. Even if there was no lunch money, school was close enough where we could come home for lunch. So you always make sure we go to school. You always make sure we have everything for school. Everything. Books, bags, shoes, everything. Food, trust me. Trust me. Every Friday, Mommy have to go to the market.
Yes.
Every Friday.
Yes. So the provider as well.
Every Friday.
Okay.
But otherwise from that, there was just some things which I just think was just wrong.
Okay.
Honestly. I didn't just
I
think
understand
that,
I understand that because generations have changed and you have grown up and we have YouTube and we are seeing a world that is bigger than just Jamaica. I get what I mean. Let me jump to Jelaine.
Before, just 2 minutes.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'm also recognizing you had a good relationship with your mother, which you wouldn't like her being overworked, which is what you saw. Because I'm basically picking up the innuendos. And also your father was basically a provider from what he understood of a father to be. So he was doing what he thought a man should do, because back in the day, like the 60s or the 70s, men don't do certain things. They can't cook, they don't clean. That's a woman's job. So the roles of women have changed over the years, and for him, that's the woman's role. So you, in our era, we recognize that it's dual. It goes both ways. So we have to kind of understand the history that we're coming from, but it doesn't mean it was right, but it was how it was being done. Okay, so yes.
I just love how you're psychologizing right now. I love it. Jelaine, let me ask Vanessa you first. Is your father a daddy?
My father is definitely a daddy. I think I said earlier that my father wasn't a huggy type of person, but he was somebody you can have conversation with. My father just loved talk. My father would talk end and end. Listen, sometimes like, all right, daddy, want to sleep now, that type of thing. But he's the type of person you can talk to. No, but talk to about what? You can't talk to him about no boyfriend or anything like that, because growing up, you're supposed to have the boyfriend, especially in your teenage years. But say something is happening at school or I feel frustrated about something, I can tell him, this is what is bothering me. So for the most part, I felt like I could talk to him and, get decent conversation. In terms of being too emotional, he's not going to get too emotional about things.
Right.
He'll give you like facts. well, I was reading something the other day and so on and so on. And, even though he was not a very emotional person, as I said, the conversation helped because I could say to him that this is what is bothering me, and based on what he knows about a situation,
Okay.
he will give me advice.
Okay. How do you think the values of your father helped you to find a partner? I couldn't do a straight face.
Well, I've heard people say that when you choose a life partner, especially, you normally choose somebody who is either similar to, if you're a man, you choose somebody similar to your mother. And if you are a female, you choose somebody who's similar to your father. I'm not going to view it like that because that would mean that I married my father, which is, but I can say that how he treated me as a daughter let me know how I should be treated, right? How he valued me, I know that no man can come and just feel that they can have their way with me, right? Even from a very tender age, even from my high school days, I mean, if you're a boy, you're going to come to me and you want to say something to me, you have to come good. You can't come now and behave like, oh girl, yo. I wasn't going to answer to that because how my father treated me, I just knew how I should be treated. So, Mr. Russell, when finding a partner, I guess I looked at how I was treated. I looked at what you valued, Mr. Russell. So I looked at how he values his mom, his sister, his family, how he treats children, because even my father loves children. Right now, I can tell you, this week I was home and we had a full house because cousins were over with my children. And I mean, that is just what my father loves. He likes the excitement. Everybody wants pizza. Everybody wants ice cream. It's like it's his joy to appreciate and give to children. And I feel that is how my husband is. The other thing I realized with my father, and I'm just thinking about it now that I've been put on the spot, that my father is, during these conversation times, give a lot of joke, a ton of joke, right? Karen will give a ton of joke, but not the same type of jokes, but he'll give a ton of joke. So I guess some of the things that you'll see some likeness, yes. But I think the main thing for me is how I was treated.
Thank you so much. Jolene, yours is a bit different, and I'm going to ask you as well. He was not your biological father, but was he your daddy?
Well, let me put it this way, Karim. He was the only daddy that I knew, because he did everything that I was not getting at all from my biological father. And can I share something with you before I go on? I was driving on Howard Cook Boulevard one day, and for some reason, my car can only pick up IRA FM. And they were playing the song by Luther Vandross, I Want to Dance with My Father Again. Just as I'm crying now, I couldn't even see where I was driving. I was crying so hard at my age. So, Stacey, I don't even know if you have an answer for that. Why am I still crying about this at my age?
How long ago did he pass?
I'm hearing the song and just thinking about the fact that I've never danced with my father. I have never had a dance with my father, and so the song just, I was crying so hard that I couldn't drive. I can't see when they go up on the big highway because I was crying so hard. And, even just me reflecting on it afterwards, just a question that I just asked, why at my age is this still affecting me? It's just weird.
It's unresolved, which is why. Unmet needs, unresolved. So, for example, when someone goes and you didn't get a chance to close a chapter, and something comes up as a reminder, it's going to touch a nerve because you never got the opportunity to do that. And as you speak there now, I can recall when my father passed, I could say to myself, I had no regrets because I did all I could do when I found out he was ill. I have no regrets. But sometimes something comes to me like, I didn't get a chance to do this. So even though if it could have been 5 years, 10 years, it was not done. And you're now wondering, what if I had done that? So regret. So even though you may be a big woman, it's loss. And nobody on this earth likes it. And even though one day it will all be gone, it's something that never actualized, which is why you're having this emotional reaction, which is quite okay. So it's better to cry and then say to yourself, in the new world, you'll get a chance to. Even though that may not make you feel much better, but at least come to terms with that something, at another phase in your life.
So can I come back to you again, Julian? I love the balling. You never had a biological father. Do you feel you missed out on having a father because you had a stepfather? The mic is off.
Because he was so much there for me emotionally and psychologically that, he never probably have it financially that way, but he was just there so much for me emotionally that I don't even know why that affected me. But as Stacey said, it was not revolved. Probably me need to tell him piece of my mind and just make him know how me feel. And then, that song would not affect me again. Right. Because me just get it off. But I got
Sorry,
support.
back up a little bit. Which one are we talking about? Your stepfather or your biological?
I got the support from my stepfather.
No, in terms of the crying.
So much so that I don't know why I was crying about this song.
The stepfather.
I was crying about my father. When I heard the song.
Oh, your biological.
My biological father.
Okay.
And I'm saying probably if I get to tell him how I really feel about the fact that you did nothing in my life, and this is how me feel, and probably because every time I hear that song, it affects me. And I don't know why.
Well, in that case, my explanation was for your stepfather, right? So your father now, there's going to be a lot of anger there, because he has not been playing a role at all. He's still alive? So, at some point, you need to have a conversation with him, or you can have an empty chair technique where you just let it all out. Pretend he's sitting right there, and you just tell everything you want to say.
So Stacey,
yes.
Let me ask a question then. So are you saying to me that nobody can fill the role of a biological father?
Technically, no.
Because
there's always a void.
Wow.
Look at the adoptive situation,
right.
adoption.
You always want to know where you come from.
Yes, you have a loving mom and dad, but somehow you just want to know why.
It happens with adopted children as well.
Right,
you're adopted and you're in a nice loving home, and you turn adult, and all of a sudden you start trace to know who your biological parents are, because there is that need to connect with them and to know where you come from and to just have a relationship. Even though you grow up with a nice, solid, emotional setting. There's just the need to want to.
And trust me, I can relate.
And I can share a situation with you. I know of a situation where a mother had 10 kids and shuttled them out, excepting for one, until have one and all of that stuff, and all of them wanted to came back to mom. So there's no place like home. So even though you might go somewhere else and you have a better opportunity, the biological is where you really want to be. It's unfathomable. You can't understand why, but the fact of the matter is that you always want to know, as you explained, what happened. You wanted that connection, and no matter what. So he was very good. He did everything up over and beyond. He didn't even touch a hair on you, so to speak.
Yep.
But her father is her father, and it's like that there's this anger as to why is he not doing what he's supposed to do.
Right.
That's, you need to have resolve.
Just a reminder that the floor is going to be open soon for anybody who wants to share their experience about being a father or having a father, the love of a father is coming up. I have one more question to ask Fitzroy. Fitzroy, are you a father or a daddy? But I don't want to answer it. I want one of your sons to answer it, and I want to answer it for you. Any one of you, come here.
Before you move on to Fitzroy, because we're talking about that void, I'm just wondering, that void of not having a mother, is it similar to not having a father? Is it the same? Because all the time they say, oh, you have mother issues. Sometimes when people, they say, oh, you have mother issues and you have father issues. I'm just wondering, is it similar?
I asked so for those who don't know, camera, go on him. Yes? Go on. All right, so this is the biggest son for Fitzroy. So tell me something. Is he a father or a daddy? Based on what we're defining from afternoon. And take your time, go ahead.
He's a daddy. Well, for me, he's always been there. I can relate to him more than my mother. Although they say boys more tend to their mother, I tend to, because I can't tell him anything. Especially now, in the work I do, I can relate to him easily.
Here, Fitzroy. Same thing? You agree with your brother? You agree with your brother? Do you agree with him? Is he a... He's a daddy, right? He's a daddy. All right, thank you very much. Fitzroy, let me tell you why you're a daddy. Tell us already. Look for me. Look for me. I think when you were a baby, I think you were probably 6. And, I looked around the church to find, while growing up, I always wanted mother, father, children. I always wanted to be married with children inside a marriage. And I couldn't find a lot of men who were married with children. And one day, I think you were doing here in church, you were doing a recorder recital. And how your father ran behind you with the stand and the recorder, and I didn't see him parenting a girl or a boy. He was parenting a child. And I said to myself, I want to be a parent like Fitzroy. Every time I think about I said to him before, and so from a father, big up yourself. Stacy, so we come in Janet. Mike.
Hi, online viewers. There are certain aspects that he needs to, get on the go in terms of physical. And I'm telling you that, what you may talk, Fitzroy take the time out, and if it means you have to jog with him, if it means you have to walk, and yet the thing that hit me and is when he was supposed to go to, I think when you call the place, Kingston, and it's early morning thing. And every trip that he's supposed to make to Kingston, Daddy was there. But the morning when he's supposed to do some tests, And I mean, fixture I leave out early, you know, saying car now work, you know. And in car broke down upon road. And the fact that he made the sacrifice for charter vehicle, drop him or something there and come back, that is something that every time you think about him, I say, man, you're a real daddy, you know, man, and big up yourself, honestly. And just keep it up. It's really, and continue to be not a daddy to your two boys, but you have other young youth in here who really look at you as a daddy and just continue to be that. But it was a whole lot of sacrifice during that period.
All right. In addition to what Auntie Janet said, I remember the day Tashre came in and said, Mommy, Daddy, I want to join the JCF. As he said JC, the F didn't come out. He said no. And he was there and there and there. And I guess he went back to Brother Moore and spoke with him. Brother Moore came to us and said that we're not to force him into anything you don't want. Because if he don't succeed, it will be on us. And I tell myself that, I said to him, I'll support you. So they were doing a recruitment in Rushies. I took him. He was not successful at that one. And I took him to the one in Trelawney. And from Trelawney to Twickenham Park, how many times? Get up before day. I remember even some of the times I took Tayshawn with me when he was on holidays. We took him, and I remember one time we end up, the GPS bring us through a bad area in the night. I mean, like it was before dinner, they didn't light out. We were going to the blood bank. It took us through a road, and I'm like seriously? Why did GPS took us this road? And there was a better road we could drive on, but the GPS is a shorter road. So it took us to a bad area. And when Auntie Janet said about the car, I didn't even realize that the radiator was burst. We got up about 4:30 in the morning. When we reached Iron Shore, I saw the temperature gauge at high. I'm like, seriously? I don't reach anywhere? And I tried everything that morning. Because going through all of those, and for him to drop out at that stage because of you were going to do the polygraph at the time, and if he did not make it at that time, you'd have to do it all over again. So I made the necessary sacrifice just to get him up there and back, and now he is a 2-year veteran in the JC.
Amen. All because of your sacrifices. All right, I'm going to invite persons who want to make any comments. I cannot take a lot, but please don't run to the mic. But if you feel free to speak about your father, and if you're a father, go ahead. As I asked, I want to ask one last question to Stacy. Janet, all right. Yes, no? You're going to the mic?
I had the best father in the whole wide world. My daddy was the type of person who every single thing. You see, even when you go high school and I had a crush on this guy, I would never forget. Who you think me tell? Me not tell my mother. When I tell my father, me say, Father, me like that you there, you know. And believe me, he's the type of daddy where when he see the youth, he start touch me. Seriously. See your boyfriend there, see your boyfriend. I'm going to tell you, he know that it was just it's just something that I desire. And he just go and fulfill this desire to the point where anybody we had the relationship where I can recall when I was about 30 something. I had a bump on my buttocks. And believe me, I went by daddy. Me no care. The bump go show my mother, you know. My father, me just go so pull out my panty and say, Daddy, what this? And him, Lord of mercy, you big man, get up. But that was the relationship we had. He was a real daddy. And he gave me that treatment where I felt like I was a princess.
Yes, yes.
And I can recall when my mommy and daddy had some differences. And my father, you see, during that period, you know, they separate. And every single morning, my daddy was living in Montego Bay, work at the accountant for Casablanca. And every morning, my daddy come to me. Remember, the school that I'm going in is in Hanover, in the district, walking distance. And my father would leave Montego Bay, come for me in Hanover, and carry me go to one school where I can just walk less than 15 minutes and carry me to school. And 2:30 on the dot, my father is from Montego Bay, right at my school gate to carry me back, right, go to my house. Believe every PTA, my father not miss no PTA, nothing whatsoever that has to do with my schooling. And even when my mother have something and he want me and can't get me, my father thief me. So for months, me not see my mother. And I just want to big up one lady in girlfriend, her name, I don't remember her name, she live at Salem. Sometimes I go and visit her. Because all during the thieving process, when he have me hide me, and the lady really take care of me. And honestly, that was my father was really my best friend. Awesome. Honestly. I love my mother. But when it comes to my father, real best friend. Everything in life my father teach me. I could go to daddy about sex, every topic. When it was my other people on top. But during the period, you know, when ladies reach, young girls reach to that point, cycle point, daddy show me everything. Daddy, I'll put on the pad so me can know how to put on the pad. That was this type of father that I had. And I will forever sing his praises, honestly.
You know, Janet, I liked how you said, your first statements were, I had the best father. Then you say, I love my daddy. Go ahead.
I too want to highlight my daddy because my daddy, he has set the standard so high for me in terms of I can't just pick up anybody today. To be very honest, my daddy do every single thing for me, even when he say nah do it, even when he cuss and say nah do it, he does it. My daddy iron for me. My father don't really cook. But I remember like when I was younger, my daddy would cook. Me know say if me not get pumpkin soup, a macaroni and cheese. He's not going to cook anything else, but he will cook. My daddy clean my shoes. My daddy do every single thing for me.
Brother Bingham, get up for a second, go beside her, please.
And
let me ask you a question. Hold on, Chrissy. Let me ask you a question. A joke. You're a father to girls. And one is saying now that the standard is really high. How does it feel to be a father? You hear my wife talking about having a father to a daughter. How does it feel to father girls?
Well, I would say I got 5 girls. I don't know. I just love them. Love being around them. I play with them. They always said, Daddy, you come like a big brother.
Right.
That is how I play with them. All of them. Yeah.
Well, I say beat them.
Wow.
You don't beat them?
It's quite a while.
Okay.
It's quite a while. They're outgrown now. My baby is 19.
Yes.
So
Yes.
They are outgrown beaten.
What I like though, Brother Bingham, you're glowing when you're talking about the girls. You're glowing, and I really appreciate that.
I really love them. I really do.
You have something to say, Chrissy?
so yes, I wanted to say
I love you.
Oh, yes, as I was saying, yeah, my daddy really set the standard for me, and I really appreciate that because I can't just, I don't accept any and anything from anybody because like I know what I'm used to. And like when I was growing up, people used to be like, oh, you're going to get better than people, but that was not it. It was just because I was used to a certain lifestyle, I was used to certain things,
standards,
I was used to getting certain things and whatever. So yes, I just really want to highlight my daddy for that.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I'm Stacy. I realized something. Vanessa strong woman in society. Jolene, strong woman in society. Janet, and an upcoming Anissa, strong woman in society. I know that we don't have empirical data, but can I probably say that women who have father figures end up being strong in society?
I would say that women with a father figure may be more grounded, and they know, and then again, it is often also said that sometimes when a person lacks a father figure, they're looking for a father figure in their life. So when you know what it is like to be treated a particular way, a particular standard is set, you will not take certain things because you know what is the standard. So if you're coming below the standard, then you have to really come again. Because I can also recall, if you have a strong personality of a father, as a girl, you know that you may enter into debates with your father.
Yes, yes.
I can recall some of those things.
Yes, yes.
And as a result of that, and if you're grown in a situation where you're told that everyone is equal and you feel that way, you don't see anybody as a God, so to speak, only God is God,
Right.
it means that you're going to be stronger. So
Right.
socialization, having a father that spends time and is attached to you emotionally, because you can be there, spend time having conversations with your children, as Miss Bingham noted with her dad. He said he plays with all his girls. It makes them more rounded and stronger in personality because they know who they are and whose they are, and you're a princess, you're royalty. You won't take crap because you know who you are.
Yes.
And your confidence will be higher. But if you don't have that sense of self because it wasn't instilled in you, then you may have self-esteem issues, and then you will take up riffraffs, things that you shouldn't take up because you don't know what to accept, etc.
Right.
So a father and a mother is important, but especially when you have a strong presence in terms of your father, he's there for you emotionally because he can be there and not get there.
Yeah.
So a daddy, having a daddy, not a father, is important.
Yes,
A daddy.
yes, yes.
A real daddy.
All right, anybody else? We have some persons who have some things to read, number 1, 2, 3, and 4, which will talk about the importance of fathers to girls, fathers to boys, fathers in the home in general. Yes, Ella Bernard.
Looking at the flip side from Sister Moore there. My father is an interesting story. I've never met him. And it took me a long time to find out why. And as Julian said, there was a longing to find out why I couldn't meet this man. And it was last year I found out why I didn't know my father. What really happened was that he got 2 girls pregnant at the same year. And it's when I have a sister in Canada that I have never met. When I asked Maxine, what is your age? What is your birth date? Maxine and myself was the same age. And she born September and me born November. I realized then that that was the reason why he literally told my mother, when my mother told him that she was pregnant, he take flight. But long before that, when I didn't come around to know him, I said to myself, I don't want no man raise me pick with them. Based on what my father has done to me, I want to make sure that I stay in my children's life, no matter what. Well, the last one, me come up in a very unfortunate situation. But I still stick with her. But talking about strong personality, the first one I always said to her, whatever measure you give in life, you must be prepared to receive it. Nowadays, she's returning the same thing, but she has this very strong personality. But as a matter of fact, both of them have a very strong personality. And I have also learned as a man that the greatest disadvantage you can do to a child is to deny them the love that they deserve. If you do not love your children, whether girl or boy, it's as if you are literally saying to them, you are not worthwhile. It is very important, no matter what the situation is, to stay on their side. Why? Whatever happens to you must stop with you. Look at what is happening in our society because of love of our fathers. Our boys are dying disproportionately because we refuse to give them the love that they need.
So you love your children despite anything. Just love them.
Despite anything,
love them.
Stay in their corner. There are 2 important things that you must allow your children to have. the opportunity to know God, and a good education. These are bedrock grounds that fathers must insist that their children must have. The reason why so much murders are taking place today is because most of our young men never learn how to love their fellow men or how to love God. And so they turn and they would look at a man and just pump bullets in him without any form of consideration. But even though I didn't know my father, I have my uncle-in-law there as a father figure. We lived for years. He was a man of few words. Yes, he was a father figure, but yes, I had this longing to know my biological father. I end up know everybody for him. I got 4 other sisters that I did not met, and I think I'm accomplished. But just to know him would be that plus. Just to know him.
Yes. Thank you. You know, I'm looking at your brother Bernard. You're in your 50s, right? And you have no gray hair. If I was your son, you'd have gray hair a long time. And I give you trouble, you see?
I have learned to forgive and to love and to move on as quick as possible.
Yes.
And so I have learned to balance my ship through hardships. Yeah? I have now go to university, but I go to school of hard knocks. I get so hard knock in life. But I have learned to balance my ship and stand on my feet as a man. Yes, I even outlived my father. He died at 40 odd. And I even outlived him. And I give God thanks for where I am today. You know?
Amen. Thank you, Elder Bernard. All right, we have some ladies or some people who are going to be reading something for us. Number 1, 2, 3, 4. Just take your place. Oh, you have so number 1. You can stay where you are.
Fathers and emotional development. Fathers, like mothers, are pillars in the development of a child's emotional well-being. Children look to their fathers to lay down the rules and enforce them. They also look to their fathers to provide a feeling of security, both physical and emotional. Children want to make their fathers proud, and an involved father promotes inner growth and strength. Studies have shown that when fathers are affectionate and supportive, it greatly affects a child's cognitive and social development. It also instills an overall sense of well-being and self-confidence.
All right, thank you so much. Number 2.
So it says, fathers set the bar for relationships with others. Fathers not only influence who we are inside, but how we have relationships with people as we grow. The way a father treats his child will influence what he or she looks for in other people. Friends, lovers, and spouses will all be chosen based on how the child perceives the meaning of the relationship with his or her father. The patterns a father sets in the relationships with his children will dictate how his children relate with other people.
All right, thank you so much. Number 3.
Fathers and their daughters. Young girls depend on their fathers for security and emotional support. A father shows his daughter what a good relationship with a man is like. If a father is loving and gentle, his daughter will look for those qualities in men when she is old enough to begin dating. If a father is strong and valiant, she will relate closely to men of the same character.
And the last one, I think fathers to sons.
Fathers and their sons. Unlike girls who model their relationships with others based on their father's character, boys model themselves after their father's character. Boys will seek approval from their fathers from a very young age. As human beings, we grow up by imitating the behavior of those around us. That's how we learn to function in the world. If a father is caring and treats people with respect, the young boy will grow up much the same. When a father is absent, young boys look to other male figures to set the rules for how to behave and survive in the world.
All right, thank you so much. Stacy, how important it is for a child to really have a father figure in their lives, a daddy, somebody who is not afraid to show emotions, they are present in their lives. How important is that?
All right, it is extremely important because it affects all levels of development. If we go and look at what research has found, even how how children perform cognitively in terms of in school, they have a better outcome when they have their father's presence in their lives. When a father is not present, has been said that it allows some of them have dropouts, as I was alluding to earlier, and they may do poorly in school. Now, think about it this way. You have two parents in the home. If the mother is at home catering to the house chores and stuff, you need to have another person that can be there to check in and see how was school, how are you doing, talk with them, encourage them. So when you have someone there looking out for your well-being, you will feel more secure, and you can focus on school, etc. In terms of emotions, it does impact that as well. When the father is involved, they are more rounded as individuals. When they're not, they're more susceptible to developing illnesses, physically as well as emotionally, based on research. In terms of even as far up to the university level, they do not do as well when they don't have father figures involved in terms of percentages that have been found. If you should do statistics to see persons that are coming from two parents who are, father figures that are present, that is, I should say, you'll find that those that are more successful are from homes where the father is present in their home. So I want to piggyback. I'm having a hard time remembering the name, forgive me. Sir Fitzroy, on the story you gave with your son prior to him getting into that place, I won't say that because he didn't say which line of work. But had it not been for your intervention, where he is presently, he may not have been there because of the delay, the mishap on the road, right? So a father is needed for a reason, because a father knows the importance of ensuring that his family is taken care of. And if a father doesn't perform his role, the mother has to do more. And think about a mother having several kids and having to go out there and work, and there's no help. Somebody's going to get left behind, right? So when you think of a more rounded, a more successful, look at the household. I'm not saying that the houses of those that have no fathers don't do well, but they're more likely to not do well when they don't have a father figure. The mother has to push harder when there's no father figure. And there are also instances, you gave some dynamics of where the father is not present physically, but they're present emotionally. So you could be overseas working and you have your son here or your daughter here, but you check in. We have the social media, you do FaceTime, you call, and you're there with your child. You sit down and you do homework with them. You encourage them. How was your day today? You have time that you actually dedicate to what you're spending with your children. So even though you may not be there physically, you may possibly also be working out of town, you can still be there emotionally for your child. There is no excuse. So if you check the stats, check the research, you'll find that overall, kids that have a father, a daddy, based on your definition, do better in all areas as opposed to those that don't have a daddy in their life. A father is not a daddy.
A father is not a daddy.
Right.
All right. Talking about statistics and research, we did our own research, as I told you before, last night to this morning. Google Forms was sent out in the church chat, and based on what I'm seeing, and I can assume that the members of the church who answered this survey would have had some sort of father in their life. So this does not include those who did not have a father. All right, so first question was, my father or stepfather is or was loving? And a whopping 77% said yes. All right, my father or stepfather show emotions. All right, 53% said yes. My father or stepfather is a good listener or was a good listener. 70% said yes. My father or stepfather gave good advice. 73% said yes. My father or stepfather was or is protective. 79% said yes. My father or stepfather show respect towards my mother. 55% said yes. My father or stepfather put his family first. 56% said yes. My father or stepfather was present for important events like graduation, baptism. 41% said yes. My father or stepfather was present at dinner time. 38% said yes. My father or stepfather gave financial support. 35% said yes. I love my father or stepfather. 77% said yes. 16% said somewhat. And 3% said no. Anyone can father a child, as I mentioned before, but it takes a lifetime. Or being a daddy takes a lifetime. Fathers play a role in every child's life that cannot be filled by others. This role can have a large impact on a child and can help shape him or her into the person they'll become. And I can see here my panelists, they have turned out to be awesome persons. Sister Barrett, you're married with 2 children, 2 awesome children. And when Stacy mentioned about father being there for your children, you mentioned Damar because he saw somebody there.
I'm telling you that Steve has such an influence on Damar in terms of school that I cannot even imagine what would have happened if he didn't have his father in his life.
Right.
Because Damar went to Herbert Morrison, as you know, Karim, you teach there, and he just went through grade 7, 8, and 9. You see, once he got to grade 10, Damar chose all the subject that his father teaches.
Right.
Because his father is a teacher at Cornwall, so the elect and him say, Mommy, me finally get me subject them Mommy want.
Yes.
And now do the idiot subject them again. Yeah, because for him the Spanish and the Geo and so on. You know, and his father was just so much of an influence that he did so well in his CXT exams.
Yes. And he continues to do well now.
And he
where
continues to do well at
right,
UTech.
Right.
You know, and I trust me, it's the influence of his father, and it's like they just talk about anything when it comes on to electricity and all of them engineering stuff.
Yes.
You know, so Stacey is right.
And Fitzroy, you know, we've spoken a lot about you this afternoon, and you know, you have your boys as testament to how you are a father. And again, I want you to continue to be a father to not only them but other boys in the church, because certainly we have seen where Fitzroy is being a father figure to all these boys. So thank you for being there for those boys.
All right, Karim, in addition, you know, when you spoke the other day, I was doing a little survey in my area, and I realized that the homes where you have fathers in them, children turn out better. They are not street boys. Julian, you understand what I'm saying? Trust me. Because I am just going through the community now, and I can't count on one hand. Honestly, I can't count on one hand the children who come out to be something, I'm saying the boys now, who come out to be respectable persons in society, who are contributing, you know, to build up the country. But the ones where you have just maybe mother grow them, then I know father background, trust me, they are
not as
well, I don't want to use the word.
Not as privileged.
Trust me, because some of them, they are just a nuisance to society.
Right.
I mean, every minute, all right. I remember when Tashway was a little bit small, and a policeman came in the area. I think he was about 19. And and a policeman came in the area and he asked him if he was living in the area. And he said yes. And the police said to him that he has been one of the officers assigned to the community and he has never seen him in the community before. Tashre's answer to him was, I live in my home, not on the road. You know what I'm saying?
Very good, yeah.
He don't live on the road.
Yes, yes.
So why the sense is he on the road? And I don't want my boys to be on the road. There's a yard they can play in, so they stay in the yard. So none of my boys have never been to, well, none of them never been to jail or police bring them down to question or anything like that. And when I'm seeing little boys who have not even graduated yet from, they're not even reached 9th grade at high school, and them have case, a court, it's bad because there's not a father figure in the home.
And Vanessa?
If I may just add too, if you think about it in terms of the parenting, when you have mom and dad is at work, and then mom has the kids and comes home, mom oftentimes says, wait till your father comes. So as a mom, you can basically say, there's somebody to call on.
Right.
So kids have to get in line, because I don't want when daddy come for me to be in trouble. Because the male voice is different, you know, it has a different effect on you. So when daddy comes, you don't want that deep voice and the growl or whatever, you're afraid, so you just get in line right away. But when it's just mommy, it's like sometimes, I mean, as a mother, they'll kind of just laugh, it's like, oh, whatever. Daddy no, different.
Yes.
So when you have both parents, as you mentioned, it makes a difference because the father will get the child in line.
Yeah.
The mother is there, but the father is oftentimes seen as a disciplinarian. So it makes a difference.
And Vanessa, finally, I like your dynamic. I like that you would have grown up with both parents, but you share, you got a very good balance. And so as you know, you have your children and you have the children's father around the place, how do you like that dynamic? How important is your children's father? Keep your face straight, man. How important is the children's father in their lives?
Karam is a wonderful father, church. I think you can see evidence here at church. They love to be around him. He's probably the fun one. I'm probably the serious one. So Karam is the one who's always up and about because Karam has a lot of energy. Karam is irreplaceable. I mean, when I think about the fact that I'm in a home where I can have a partner who can equally parent, you know, not just about discipline, because sometimes we have this notion that, okay, fathers are just for discipline and, you know, and we have to balance it now, you understand? So not just for discipline, but for fun, for being there, for the support, for chores, housework, right? For the cooking, all of that. I mean, for following up the academics. When Karim pulls the board, because we have a board at home, and when you see him pull the board with the marker, you know, okay, it's teaching time. We will call, because other day he was calling Zuri. And okay, Zuri, we're writing some words on the board, and he writes out all the words that end with AN, and he goes through. Even yesterday, he was just going through singing songs, just having a crazy time, dancing about the place. I could not ask for a better father for my kids, and I'm so grateful. Daddy, that is. As I remember that we are making that distinction between father and daddy. Karim is just as great a father as my father is. And my father is the best father. I'm getting emotional. But I can tell you, I have found a partner who is as good a father as my father.
Okay, so let me just jump in because we're getting very emotional. But you see, it is in a good way, in a good way. So when you have a good father, they should be applauded. So I'm going to give you guys your roses right now, Sir Fitzroy, Sir Karim, all the fathers in Zion that are doing a great job, Sir Bingham, Sir Barrett, I'm just remembering the names of Sir Bernard, my apologies. Right. So commendations to you, but I just wanted to leave a few tips for the fathers among us as to how you can possibly improve as dads. So speak positively to your children and the mothers. So when you have a good relationship with them, it doesn't make a difference. I am not going to be, giving anything long, just short tips. Also, create a vision for fatherhood engagement for your children. Everybody has their experience, and through your experience, you can improve and build. So if it is that you had a great experience, you may want to emulate that. If it wasn't such a wonderful one, as I've heard on my right, you both have improved on what you had existed, and commendations to you. Be the bridge between your own father and your children, right? So whatever shortcomings you would have realized that you had growing up, ensure that you are that smooth transition between yourself and your children. Also establish a ritual dad time. Sometimes we think about providing for our families and our children, but what about spending time with each child? No one should be able to replace you. You should be called irreplaceable, as Mrs. Russell said about her husband, Mr. Russell. So establish at that time so that kids look forward to it and treasure those moments. And if anything should happen, those are the moments that they will actually relate to and say, Dad used to do this, and have good fun memories. Know your children. As I had mentioned previously, you can't use one approach for all your children. Each child is different. You should know them and attend to their needs accordingly. And finally, be known by your children. They should know what daddy likes, what daddy is about, and if daddy is not even physically present for whatever reason, work, etc., they should still know who daddy is. So these are a few tips you could use to improve on what you have, because I'm sure we're doing a great job from what I'm hearing, but there's always room for improvement. So because of the emotional bit, I just jumped in. Back to you,
Thank
guys.
you so much. Again, I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank my panelists. Sister Barrett, thank you for sharing. Sister Russell, thank you for sharing. Brother Williams, thank you for sharing. And my resident psychologist, I called her last night, and she just readily came. Thank you, Sister Whittingham. As we come to the end of this era program, a father is not a daddy. I want to leave you by asking, for those who would have had their father, was your father a father or a daddy? For those gentlemen in here who are fathers, are you a father or a daddy? And for those young men who are going to be fathers one day, will you be a father or a daddy? Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today has been a great day. Don't you agree? It has. This is my first day as youth elder, and I can tell you I have grown more of appreciation for what the work that the elders have done. As we bring the Sabbath to a close, our service, we'll sing the hymn Happy the Home. I'm 625? 655, thank you. Please stand with me. Happy the home when God is there and love fills every breast. When one their wish and one their prayer and one their heavenly rest. Happy the home where Jesus' name is sweet to every ear, where children early speak His fame, and parents hold Him dear. We'll sing. I will say a quote from the Adventist home. The work of making home happy does not rest upon the mother alone. Fathers have an important part to act. The husband is the house band of the home treasures, binding by his strong, earnest, devoted affection the members of the household, mother and children, together in the strongest bonds of union. You know, I wanted to add about my father but I was not here for the entire thing. But one thing I can attest that my father is a lot like many Jamaican men. He's not really emotional or anything. And on top of that, he's a very quiet person. As much as he talks a lot with people, at home he's often a quiet person. And one thing I can always attest with my father, I can always rally on, is that he will do anything for his family. I remember when I was starting university and we did not know where any of the money was coming from. And my father worked, he went to Portland, that is miles away from his wife, his children, to make sure that, I can further education. And I think that's one of the things that a father really needs. And when I have my children, I aim to be like my father, where I will do anything and everything to make sure that they're all right. We'll now sing the last two stanzas of Happy the Home. Happy the home where prayer is heard and praises want to rise, where parents love the sacred word and all its wisdom prize. Lord, let us in our homes agree this blessed peace to gain. Unite our hearts with love to Thee, and love to all will reign. Let us pray. Most heavenly and righteous Father, I thank you for the wonderful Sabbath you have given us today. I thank you for protecting us all as we are here, have been here, and protecting or family members wherever they are. The Lord, I ask that you may be with us through the coming week, and that we may be able to apply all that we have learned today to our daily lives. Continue to lead the church and lead us individually. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Savior, breathe an evening's blessing, every force or sweet. And thou canst see. Amen. Well, I hope that you all had a wonderful day today. And Youth Month continues tomorrow night. We'll be on the Zoom platform. And I can tell you from the nights that we've had so far, it's been a great experience. I want you all to join us. The link will be posted in the church group. Please join. I'm sure there's a blessing for you to gain and you will enjoy it, because I really did. Have a blessed rest of the Sabbath.